The transmission from 3I Atlas began as nothing more than a whisper, a faint, almost imperceptible anomaly lurking in the cosmic statics background. At first, it was no louder than the sigh of the entire universe, a sporadic pulse threading through endless noise. Yet there was something deliberate about it. Deliberate, not frantic, not loud. That was what prevented one from ignoring it. Researchers had long been accustomed to sifting through meaningless signals, stray bursts of radiation and random fluctuations in the plasma between stars. But this one was unique. Its tempo conveyed intent like a secret heartbeat. After the data had been meticulously cleaned, aligned, and run through verification after verification, its true nature emerged. This was no random phenomenon. It was planned, patterned, and structured. Even before the public knew, whispers had already begun in observatories and classified spaces. The very existence of suspicions that had been muttered behind closed doors for decades was confirmed by the transmission. Something beyond the solar system was not just out there, but watching. Before we get any further, make sure you subscribe and hit the alert sound so you don't miss the next update about this extraordinary mystery. The next thing you'll hear is not guesswork. It is data. It is a revelation. The name 3I Atlas came from its initial designation, simply the third identified interstellar object catalogued by the Atlas survey. But it didn't fall in silence like its predecessors did. From the start, astronomers had been puzzled by its trajectory. It drifted, but not randomly. It swung, as if guided. Its path refused to obey the straightforward laws of cosmic chance. Unease arising from the transmission soon turned to dread. The signal was tightly aimed, surgical in precision, almost surgically cut to slice across the void. It wasn't a natural radio emission. It was a constructed broadcast. Every frequency band revealed harmonics aligned so perfectly that only intelligence could be behind them. What unsettled the scientific community most was not only the fact that it had spoken, but that it had directly addressed the most important listening range for deep space observation, as if it knew exactly where our attention would be directed. The technical breakdown of the message offered no comforting ambiguity. Patterns emerged, repeating in mathematical sequences, prime numbers proclaiming themselves as cosmic fingerprints. Modulations of complex waves followed, indicating layered encoding, something far more advanced than a greeting. The initial exhilaration of discovering what appeared to be an extraterrestrial signature soured quickly. More in-depth spectral analysis uncovered a far darker reality. Embedded inside the carrier waves were not just pleasantries, but instructions, commands, code designed to interact with systems on Earth. This was not an accidental overlap of communication styles. This was a targeted reach, an invasive test to determine what might be triggered. Anxiety grew into certainty. For decades, debates had raged about whether first contact would be benign, hostile, or indifferent. The 3I Atlas transmissions forced that question into sharp focus. Its substance implied surveillance, knowledge of our frequencies, and understanding of our computational structures. The fact that the message was not at all understandable without impossible leaps of interpretation suggested that whoever sent it had been monitoring us for a very long time. There was no comfort in imagining a considerate observer. The delicacy of the signal carried the cold efficiency of observation, not the warmth of curiosity. We weren't just being noticed. We were being assessed. The implications rippled through the scientific and political communities alike. If a transmission could be designed to resonate within Earth's technological infrastructure, then the line between astronomical observation and cyber intrusion had been obliterated. Security agencies recognized the analogy immediately. It was the extraterrestrial equivalent of a probing scan on a network, the kind of investigation a hacker conducts before launching a direct intrusion. By incorporating structured code into a signal observable by our equipment, the senders had demonstrated both their reach and their goal. They weren't merely making an announcement. They were determining their depth of penetration into our systems without resistance. The transmission's timing was one of its eeriest features. The object had already raised suspicions with its erratic trajectory, its acceleration shifts hinting at non-gravitational propulsion ruled out in public but whispered about privately. And when the transmission arrived, it coincided perfectly with its perihelion point, the moment of its closest approach to the Sun, as if the sender had waited for the optimal position to broadcast toward Earth with maximum clarity. The synchronization was too exact to dismiss as chance. This was planning, strategy, patience. Astronomers who first detected the signal felt the revelation's weight suffocating them. For years, the universe had been an expansive wonder to them, full of mysteries waiting to be explored. They had been cautiously optimistic. That optimism vanished. The cosmos was no longer a silent stage, but a theater filled with active players who might not wish us well. For decades, scientists had feared that confirmation of intelligence would not bring mutual exchange, but rather a reminder of our vulnerability. That fear became real through the transmission, undeniable and immediate. Every detail reinforced the impression of deliberate contact. Natural modulation was avoided, distortions were minimal. The encoding contained redundancy, guaranteeing comprehension regardless of how advanced or primitive the receiver might be. And perhaps most troubling of all, its amplitude fluctuated in synchronization with Earth's own planetary resonances, as if mocking the very idea of coincidence. It was a demonstration of awareness, of calibration to our existence. That precision stripped away any hope of a benign misunderstanding. Humanity had long struggled with the paradox of the silence. If the universe teems with life, why haven't we heard from it? The answer, it seemed, was not that the universe was silent, but that it had waited patiently until the appropriate time, or until we had developed enough for our signals to attract attention. The eerie question now was whether 3Pi Atlas was the first of many, or simply the first we had noticed. How many communications had passed us by, disguised as static, while our instruments were tuned to narrower bands? The knowledge that at least one message had been caught meant countless others might have gone undetected. As authorities and institutions scrutinized the data, the question of public disclosure loomed. It was too unsettling to share the details without risking panic. Yet concealment carried a danger just as great should the truth leak. To admit openly that they had received a signal from an interstellar object, one that appeared to contain encoded directives, would shatter the fragile illusion of safety upon which modern society depends. Yet to deny it would demand secrecy that could never hold. The weight of responsibility was immense. The nature of the instructions embedded in the transmission remained its most alarming feature. Analysts argued that the code resembled a beginning handshake, a protocol negotiation common in electronic communication. In human terms, it was as though an unknown entity had knocked on the door of our networks and left behind a cryptographic key. Whether that key could open deeper channels of communication or exploit vulnerabilities was a matter of fierce debate. It meant that the extraterrestrial intelligence was not content to observe from afar. It was piercing directly into the digital core of human civilization. The power required to transmit such a message across interstellar distances disturbed experts as much as its content did. Natural emissions could be dismissed as byproducts of cosmic phenomena, but focused signals demanded both technology and intent. Whoever engineered the broadcast wielded power far beyond anything humanity had achieved. To maintain coherence over such vast distances required mastery of energy on a scale we could not even fathom. It was a sobering reminder. In the cosmic hierarchy, we were the lower species, fumbling with primitive tools while giants reached across light years with precision.